Hey everybody, it's Friday night and we are doing a water change on my 125 gallon native tank right now. Probably going to let a little more water drain out of it. So while I stand here and watch, I thought I would just share a few thoughts that I've had on this tank recently. One thing I wanted to make clear, I shot a video a few days ago where I found a really fantastic piece of woodwork while I was out in my kayak. And I talked about it in terms of I might bring it home. Part of that had to do with measuring the tank. I know the overall dimensions of the tank, but I do not know the size of the little gaps right here to fit between the bracing, which is what I would need to be able to, sort of put it in this way and then flatten it back out or something. I would have to work around these braces, so I really need to get those measurements. And get the overall inside measurements because I know the size of the tank, but this is, that's a significant piece of plastic lip on it, so I have to measure, exactly how much room I have. This was a pretty significant piece of wood. I'll attach a card if you didn't already see the video and you're interested and you want to check it out. Again, it was a good sized piece of wood, and I thought I made it fairly clear again that I was considering it. And I got a lot of comments about people who were talking about how they couldn't wait to see it in the tank and, so on and so forth. So, it's not a done deal. I've got a lot of reservoir and there's plenty of, I'm getting distracted. I got this one creek chub down here who's kind of freaking out and I'm not really sure why. It's almost like he's got something stuck in his gills or something, almost like the way a bass will jump and thrash around when you hook him. It doesn't seem like he's getting panicky because of the water being low. It almost seemed like he got a piece of gravel or something caught somewhere. That was interesting. So sorry about that distraction. But anyway, I just wanted to clarify that I definitely want to look around some more. That was just a piece of wood that caught my attention. What I would really like to get is a tree stump that has grown along the water's edge. And again, if you watch my outdoors videos, if you see my videos where I'm out there on the water a lot, you'll notice that the tree's roots grow sideways and they get all tangled and woven together, and it's really, really interesting looking. And you can get a fairly shallow sort of front to back depth on them, but this wide spread of roots that'll go all the way across the tank, and then I can possibly have maybe the tree stump sticking up out of the water or something like that. So ideally I would like to do something like that. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to find that tree stump. I have a feeling that when I see it I'm going to know it, and I've got a pretty good eye for that kind of stuff. I've pulled some branches out of the muck and mud that wound up being amazing. I knew underneath all that mud, once it got cleaned up, I was going to be happy with it. In fact, this big piece of wood right here, it's worn down over the years, but you can see that actually was a tree stump. That's the roots, and it was not a sapling, but it was a small tree, and I cut the top of it off after the main trunk. We got some branching up there, and so I cut all that off and I brought it in, and the idea was with those roots to be sticking up, the roots would be up at this end, and then the tree would be lying down this way, which, again, if you look at my videos out at the reservoir, if you're familiar with the side of any lake, you will notice that trees often fall down into the water, and you have the roots up at this end and the tree branches down facing the other way. That's a very common sight around the sides of lakes, and so that's what this was sort of originally meant to simulate. But because of the shape, and I was just limited on what I can do with putting a tree in my fish tank, and considering I had a hood on it at the time, so on and so forth, I did the best I could with sort of simulating that look. So it's not going to be easy to do that. I would really love to get that upside down look with the roots sticking up out of the side or the end of the tank, and then having the branching come down into the tank. And again, I sort of simulated that as best I could with this, but we'll have to see. So that big piece I saw the other day out there was interesting in its own right, but that was more like a log with a branch. It was, hollow log shaped with a branch sticking up off of it. Now, I do believe I could get that branch up and out of the water. So that is also something I'm really interested in doing. Whenever I have an open top tank, I really like to explore the interaction between environments. You know, I mean, right here I can reach right in, and as I've said before, when I'm feeding this tank now, I stand here and just throw food in like I'm feeding the ducks at the park, and the fish are splashing and jumping, and it creates such a different experience when you're in front of the tank that's open top like this with the light shining down. It creates a really different feel on the fish tank. And then of course when you actually have part of the fish tank up and out, not only out of the water but up and out of the tank, and then if you have plants growing on and around it, because I'm just getting started, you know, I want to rescape it and all that, but we've got all of this room up here. There's no reason I can't have plants, you know, sitting on this, you know, either hanging down into the water or growing up away from it, or a combination of the two. You know, there's lots of potential now that we've got this opened up and lit the way we've got it lit, and I can raise that up as high as I need to. I can go all the way up to the ceiling basically with these lights. So there's going to be all kinds of opportunity to play around and experiment with this tank and do different things. I don't really know if I'm up for the challenge of getting in there and really rescaping the hardscape. I mean, I might rearrange it a little bit, but pulling all those rocks out and finding new rocks and all that, I don't know if I'm up for doing all that, and I really don't also know if I'm up for pulling all that gravel out of there. I'd like to have black substrate in there. I just don't know if it's going to be practical to remove. I mean, I'd literally have to empty this tank. I'd have to pull all the wood out, I'd have to pull all the rocks out, and then I'd have to pull all the plastic out. You'll notice I have the egg crate plastic throughout the bottom of this entire tank, so all that would have to come out. You know, obviously I'm not going to be able to get the gravel out of the tank if I've still got that egg crate plastic in the bottom. There's my Chinese algae eater. So, like I said, I don't know, lots of ideas, lots of things we can do. Very different sort of feel to this tank when you look down into it like this. I really, really like these open top tanks. I'm really happy I pulled the top off of this one. I don't know why it took me so long to finally decide to do that and realize that was something I could do. That was a good viable option for me, but I did, and now I'm happy I did. So make sure you're subscribed, and then that way you won't miss anything I got coming up. It's hit or miss with me, and I know my outdoors videos are not my most popular by far. For those of you that enjoy them, I know that you really enjoy them, and I will always keep doing them. For those of you who don't watch them, that's fine. You don't have to watch them or anything, but bear with me. It's the end of the season, and I'm trying to get as much time in as I can. The colors are starting to change out at the reservoir, and you know, the videos are getting prettier and prettier, and the early sunsets are looking gorgeous. So probably going to be a little flurry of a lot of outdoors type videos over the next few weeks as the leaves are changing and falling. But once the leaves are done, you're probably going to get like the odd snowstorm video or something like that all the way till next spring. I really do not do much outside at all once the leaves are done falling. I am not a cold weather person. And again, other than maybe the oddball, you know, me clearing snow out of my driveway or look at the pretty snowstorm kind of video, you're not going to have to bother with too much in the way of outdoors videos until next spring again. So make sure you're subscribed, as I said, that way you won't miss that or anything else. You never know what it's going to be with me. I always shoot something. And it's, you know, could be just about anything, fish related, outdoorsy, whatever. Anyway, make sure you're subscribed, and you won't miss any of that or anything else. So thanks for watching. Don't forget, this one is my 125 gallon native tank, and I'll see you real soon in the next one.